To Full Circle, and I'm sitting here. They catch me every time, Doctor. They catch me every time. Welcome back to Full Circle, and we have the Dr. Dennis
Woods
from
Life to Legacy Publishers.
All right. I always let people work. I love that. I love that. Help me out here. Help me out. So before we went to commercial break, we were talking about your actual publishing company, and I wanted to talk a little bit about some of your artists, your authors. So tell me a little bit about some of the authors that you are working with.
Well, currently we have a new book out. It's Christine Houston.
Okay.
And now Christine Houston is the, it was her original play, 227, that became the hit sitcom 227. She won the Norman Lear Playwright Award, and they flew her out to Hollywood and had her start writing for that show. They converted it into television. And then she went on to write for the Jeffersons and Punky Brewster. And so after doing that, and it's very interesting, now she's a person that reinvented herself, because at the age of 42, she enrolled at Kennedy King College, and obviously she's one of the older students in her class, and one of the young whippersnappers walked up to her and said, "What are you majoring in?" And so she says, I'm a writer. And so, and actually, she was actually in another class, but she said she was a writer. Well, that impromptu response turned into them asking her to say, well, if you're a writer, can you help us write a play? And so that's how she ended up writing 227. They entered it into a contest on the behalf of the school, and she won the Norman Lear. And Norman Lear, you know, he produced a lot of those sitcoms. And so that's how she launched at the age of 42. And so, she now teaches at Chicago State. And this book, Laughing Through the Tears, is about her experience with her husband, who eventually died from Alzheimer's and dementia. So what she does is and there's so many people that are struggling with that disease now, to have loved ones and family members that have that. And so what she did, she was able to find that there can be happiness and joy even in a bad situation, and hence the title, Laughing Through the Tears. So that's brand new.
I think that comes early. It's starting early with especially African Americans.
Yes, yes.
I'm actually feeling sometime I have a touch.
Oh my goodness.
So I mean, it can be, you know, you somewhere and you forgot what you did yesterday and that type of stuff. Is, you know.
Well, I wouldn't claim that as Alzheimer's or dementia.
Well, it's not that far, because I mean it gets close to where you did the next minute. You know. No, don't pay me no mind. I'm sorry. But so let me ask you, because this is really, really nice, the graphic designs on the book. So you said you have a person.
Yeah, Jennifer Levert. She's a very talented graphic designer and editor.
And let me ask you, how did she find you? How did Christine? How did she?
Well, she found me.
Or you all been friends forever?
She found me because of this book. Okay. That's another one of our books. This is a famous producer.
The man behind the music.
Carl Davis. Yes, Carl Davis was a product of Chicago. And the thing is he was the one who discovered Gene Chandler. He's the Shy Lights. He recorded the song. He did Sam Cooke, Louis Armstrong, Arnold Franklin, the Shy Lights. Yeah, he was the one who launched the Shy Lights. Jackie Wilson's Higher and Higher and Whispers Getting Louder was all done by him. He worked with exclusively, well, not exclusively, but he worked with Curtis Mayfield and great producers like Johnny Pate. As a matter of fact, Maurice White, who was his drummer, and Maurice White went on to start the group Earth, Wind and Fire. And as a matter of fact, Verdine White and I correspond all the time, and Verdine did a comment for the book. And so it was at Carl Davis's funeral, because he died a year ago. About a year ago.
Has it been a year?
It was
2 years.
Yeah, it's a little while ago.
Right.
And when he passed, and it was at his funeral, because I was one of the speakers, that Christine Houston walked up to me and said, "Young man, I heard so much about you, and I want you to do my book." And I said, "Okay." So that's how
You
that
didn't
book.
just say, "Okay."
Well, you know.
Did you smile and say, "Oh, wow," just knowing her background?
Well, she did. I didn't know who she was.
Oh.
And so when she called me, she says, "Young man," she says, "I need your card." She says, "I'll tell you all about me," and blah, 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 blah. So she called. She was working with another publisher that was dragging their feet, actually, on getting her book done. And she just got tired of waiting and tired of, they're dragging their feet. Okay, we might do it, and all of that. So she gave me her manuscript. We had it out in 4 or 5 months. And so now we're doing programs.
Right.
She was just on Channel 26, just did a thing on her. Of course, we'll have her on your show. And
Very soon.
Very soon.
Very soon.
Very soon. And so,
interesting woman.
yes, she is. And so...
and you definitely have to get the book.
Yes. All of our books are available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com, iTunes, and all of that. You can go there, ebooks and all of that. So you can
Okay, so you can also still go to you all's actual website, and it'll take you
Right, exactly.
Okay.
That, and the libraries have most of our books. You can go to Chicago Public Libraries, which is another thing, because we do programs in conjunction with Chicago Public Libraries all the time.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to say anything. Let's talk about this next.
Okay. Well, this person people may know.
Okay.
And that is the broadcast legend Mary D. And Mary D was, a lot of people know her from the days when she was on WVON as a broadcaster on the radio.
This is a very nice picture of her.
Thank you. We had the Lewis Lee was our graphic designer for that, and he was the one that did all of the a lot of the covers for Jet Magazine. And then we had one of the main editors, former
Lessons on Faith and Forgiveness.
Yes, and the forward done by Nancy Wilson. If you look in there's pictures with Quincy Jones, Oprah, the president. I mean, it's all sorts of people in her book. Right there in the center. So it's Barack Obama and Maya Angelou, Stevie Wonder, Quincy Jones.
Our last mayor.
Right. Phil Donahue, and he's in there, and there's a lot of historical pictures. Mary D. Someone tried to kill her one night after she got off the air on WGN, because she broadcast on WGN for many years, and of course she did the lottery, and she was the lotto lady and all of that, and so they actually kidnapped her and shot her twice in the head. And so that happened on 7/17/1971. And so the thing is, so every day on that date, she celebrates another birthday. She calls it a birthday, and I think she's had 40 of them since that had happened. But the thing is it was really, really traumatic for her. So she heard about us, and an associate of mine, Clarence Waldron, who is who was formerly one of the chief editors of Jet Magazine, did the editing on that, and he called me and says, "Dennis, I have a client for you." So we took care of Mary.
Okay. I mean, it must be nice to start a business and be able to blessings and be able to work with the people you are working with.
It is. It really is.
It's a blessing.
You're right by using the word blessing. I'm a minister. My wife and I, we're both in ministry. We broadcast, have a nursing home ministry, and so all of the praise and glory goes to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I mean, he's just been phenomenal in guiding us and giving us direction and all that we've gone through. Everybody is going through something.
Like you say, everyone has a story.
Everybody has a story. And so and that's one of the things that we've had people call us and say, "I want to do a book, but I don't have a manuscript. I'm not a good writer." And so
I'm just getting ready to say, what do you do about the people that just don't know how to write but want to write?
I tell them, get a tape recorder
and talk.
And we have
Are you serious?
We do ghostwriting the whole 9 yards.
Is that what it's called, ghostwriting?
That's called ghostwriting.
See, I tell you, I learn something new every time I take on Full Circle from my guests.
Right. Right.
Really?
Yeah, and so, but not, let me just qualify that by saying not all of our books are ghostwritten books. I mean, I didn't ghostwrite Christine Houston's or Mary D's, but what I'm saying is that's a service that we offer.
Okay.
You know, and so...
And that's another blessing.
It is, because
it's just so many people that will say, I'm include myself. I would love to write a book. And it's just like, okay, I'm just not a writer. And when you just be honest, you're not a writer, you're not a writer.
Right. And then too, and even though the way copyright law works, even if you hire someone to ghostwrite a book, the fact that you pay them to do it, you automatically own it. So it's still, you're still the author, even though someone else might be writing it.
Right.
If you pay for
Dr.
it,
Woods,
talk
to me.
You see what I'm saying? It's how
Okay.
copyright law works.
Okay.
And so if you pay somebody to do something, it's yours, even though it's their intellectual property doing it. So, you know, so the thing is I encourage people, there's nothing wrong with having someone help you with your work. A lot of these busy people that are selling millions of books, they're not all sitting down and penning that out themselves, you know, but it's still their work. So, and it doesn't make a difference.
So let me ask you, because I see you have another book. I want to talk a little bit about this one as well.
Yeah, this is Bishop William Ellis. Bishop Ellis has a very great story. He's the pastor of
right here in Chicago.
Right here in Chicago, the Apostolic Faith Church, the Pentecostal Apostolic Church of Morgan Park. And it's right there on 114th and Vincennes. And he has an interesting story because, as a lot of people know, he was incarcerated for some tax problems that he had back a few years back. And the whole experience of going through that and having the feds come to his house and arrest him, and all that happened in front of his wife, and, you know, grandkids is all there, and then what he went through in the church world and their response to it. And so it is a very, very poignant story. You know, he comes from a long line of preachers. His daddy was a preacher. Daddy before that was a preacher. And some of his nephews, as a matter of fact, his nephew, Charles Ellis III, is the presiding prelate bishop over the Pentecostal Assemblies of the World. It's a very large organization. And so the Ellises have a very deep history in Pentecostalism, both in throughout the country. And so his book is a very good book. And so, but we have other books. We have a book coming out by Bill Winston that will be very soon, called Kings and Priests. That'll be out hopefully in the next couple of months. And so we have other big projects in the works as well. So. Okay,
so far, because I noticed that when you said something about the play, the book was actually, turns out, how does that work? What far as a play, a movie? How do you know if this might end up being one of those things once they write a book?
Well,
Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Well, the adaptation from a book to a screenplay sometimes is just a natural transition, particularly if you have a story that has a lot of action or a lot of drama, or it is a historical type of piece. We are working on getting a production deal on a screenplay called The Two Faces of E, which is about a lady that has a mission in Racine, and she actually has 21 natural children. And while raising those 21 natural children, she started a rescue mission in Wisconsin, okay? She started a rescue mission, and she was this save the world type of mother figure to the public, but she was a tyrant to her own children. And so the Two Faces of E type of that script, which we're trying to shop now. So if there's any producers out there, we need a producer. But
let me ask you now, how does that work with the publishing company when they do want to make a movie from one of the books you published?
Well, most of our authors maintain all of their rights. Number one, we don't take their rights. Now, where we get involved in is the Two Faces of E. I wrote the script. So that's what gets me personally involved. And for the Carl Davis movie that we're in pre-production on now, I wrote that script as well. So if we see a book that I believe will really make a really, really good movie, then I'll sit down and talk with the author about it, and we'll usually do a secondary type of agreement. A lot of people are very concerned about their rights and their royalties and all of that stuff, and so what we do is we have a very straightforward type of contract that we do with them, but if a person would like to retain us also to do the script, then we can also do that as well, because I write the scripts as well.
All right. Now you said earlier that you mentioned 1995, and then you mentioned 2009 when you actually started this publishing company.
Yes, it was 2009.
So it's then blew up. I mean, you're working with quite a bit of people, well-known people. So, I mean, where do you go from here at this point?
Well, we're constantly trying to expand and offer our services to people. Our targeted niche of authors are people who typically would never be published by a traditional publishing house, Simon & Schuster. Simon & Schuster, that's a big publishing company that does a lot of T.D. Jakes books. They're owned by Time Warner, one of the biggest publishers in the world. Okay, it's very difficult to get published in a regular royalty sense. It's almost as difficult as trying to hit a lotto number, because there are thousands, there are millions of manuscripts submitted to publishers, and it is very, very difficult nowadays to get publishers to publish a book from an unknown person. Publishers are looking for the sensational stories, the big-time authors, or the names or the big stories that'll turn into a book. Such as one of the young lady that was held captive for 18 years or something like that, and was held captive by this guy and all of that. It was on everybody's television show. There are authors, there are companies that are jumping at the opportunity of that, because that's a big story, and where they can see a big story, and it's really business. If there's money to be made in it, then they want to do it. If you're just the average person who wants to do a book, a publisher like that would never even consider you. They wouldn't even let you submit a manuscript to them. And so our services are tailored for people who wouldn't necessarily be considered at that level of publishing, but we make it the publishing world accessible to them, because we'll take their work, bring it up to standards, get all the editing, do all of that professionalism that needs to go into a quality book, and then publish them. Okay,
now let me ask you, because you started off earlier saying that you had written a book, and now that you're in this big world of publishing, the CEO and the president of the company, do you plan to write any more books of your own?
Yeah, I do. I have, like I said, I'm a minister, and my doctorate degree is in eschatology. Eschatology is the study of end-time prophecy, all that end-time stuff. And so I have a couple of books that are coming out on that. And I have another book that I'm going to republish under my own company called Counterfeit Charisma. So I haven't lost my Counterfeit Charisma. I should have bought a copy of it.
And you should have known I was going to
Well, Counterfeit Charisma, it was published in 2001. And basically what it's talking about is how the church has been infiltrated by a lot of people that are not true pastors or true Christians. But they do bring with them all the charisma to attract the people, because people like fantastic things.
That's definitely another story.
Yeah, they love all the fantastic stuff. They love to be told, come over here and get your miracle, all that kind of stuff. Our God is a miracle working God. There's no doubt about that. Our God is a powerful God. But what has happened is people have taken a marketing secular concept and then shaped it into and put it into the confines and the trappings of true Christianity. And so what happens is you have a lot of people that are being deceived. And as a matter of fact, the Bible even talks about it, that in the last days there will be many false prophets. You have a lot of that today. And so that's what counterfeit charisma is talking about.
Oh, okay.
You know, it gets kind of deep. The theological subject is called apologetics, and which basically means, it's a pretty word for defending the faith and recognizing those that are counterfeit.
All right. Well, give us your website and your contact information again before we go on break, because I want to talk about it's something else that you do. You're such a busy man, and that's a good thing. And a blessing again.
Right.
And you have a busy wife back there.
Yeah.
She keeps you moving.
She's the CFO.
Okay. All right.
And a wonderful wife.
And clap again. She don't want me to call her out here. She said, no, I don't want to come out.
Too bad the cameras can't pan around and get
I know, right? I know.
Okay,
so yeah, give us the website before we go to commercial break. And
it's Life, the word Life, L-I-F-E, the number 2 Legacy, legacy.com, Life, the number 2 Legacy.com, and our phone number is 877-267-7477.
And don't forget that you can do
ghostwriting, all of that, publishing, ghostwriting. Take it from even handwritten stuff. As long as we can read it, we'll ghostwrite it and really make a good book out of it.
All right, that's a blessing. We're going to go to commercial break. When we come back, we're going to finish speaking with